Hey guys, thank you for joining me for another online yoga class. So today's class is going to be a detox for the Equinox class. So we're coming up to autumn or fall if you're in America, which is my favorite season. It's a great opportunity to set yourself some new intentions, some new beginnings. It's the time of year where we begin to cool down and move out from the fire season into the earth and grounding through the water season. So this is great for me as a Hatha type person. I'm very grounding and I really like this season. So maybe you feel the same, maybe you don't, and you think that this is something that you would need to incorporate into your practice. We're going to be doing lots of twisting and lots of forward folding today. So working with beginning to kickstart our digestion and our metabolism, ready for changes, ready for a new and fresh start. So I recommend that you maybe come up with an idea of an intention that you'd like to bring into this new season, maybe something you'd like to get rid of as well, something that's no longer serving you. This is a great opportunity to release any of those. And I really hope you enjoy the class. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. Okay, so we're just going to start in our seated position. You can sit cross-legs or extend your legs out in front, or sit on your shins or sit on the cushion. We're just going to take a couple of moments here to connect to our breathing. If you wanted, you can take Yan Mudra, connecting the index finger and the thumb, with the remaining three fingers stretched out in front and the palms face up. But try to focus here on creating a length in the spine. So if you find that you're rounding as you sit here, you may find it beneficial to instead sit up on a cushion or a block and make sure that the crown of the head is staying directly over the hips, the shoulders are stacked over the hips, and you're nice and tall through the spine. And grounding down through the sit bones, grounding down through your pelvis, establishing your foundations. I recommend, if you feel stable, that you close your eyes and softly begin to connect to your breathing. Beginning to breathe in and out deeply through the nose. And keeping the low belly drawn in as you expand the breath into the rib cage. As you exhale, you create a small restriction to the back of the throat to create that ocean-like sound in the back of the head, making the breath audible. Allowing the mind to clear. So this being a fresh start, a new season, with all new adventures to come your way, I recommend that if you had an intention that you maybe would like to bring with you into this new season, some new energies you'd like to take with you, that you set that for yourself now. So that can be anything that you would like to bring into your life. That can be a word, a mantra, a phrase, anything that you would like to take with you. And I recommend that you let go of anything you'd like to release, something that hasn't served you. So it could be a recurring thought, a story, an emotion you've been taking hold of, a grudge against someone that you'd like to release. I recommend that in the spirit of new beginnings and new seasons, that you truly use this opportunity to cleanse yourself, reset, a nice blank slate, clearing the mind of any unwanted chitta-vritti mind chatter, and allowing yourself to stay completely present. Taking one more deep breath in, breathing that intention again. Hold at the top. As you exhale, let it go through the mouth. Bring the palms together at the heart center, softly blink the eyes open. Namaste. So we're actually going to be starting in a child's pose today. So you can just come down onto your shins. We can either come into an extended child's pose, or if that feels a little tight in the shoulders, you can instead come into an embryo pose. So embryo pose is the knees together, and then you bring the arms alongside the body with the palms facing up. Okay, rounding through the upper back. For our extended child's pose or our wide child's pose, bring your knees to mat distance apart and then extend the arms out in front of you, fingers spread nice and wide. You release the forehead down towards the mat. If you find here that the forehead doesn't reach the floor, then you can place it onto a block. Or if you find that the hips don't reach the heels, you can place a rolled up blanket or a bolster or a cushion between the thighs and the calves, resting those sit bones down towards the earth. Just taking a few deep breaths as we extend here through all the way to the fingertips, creating that length in the spine as best you can. Continuing to draw that low belly in as we breathe deep into the rib cage. Allowing the chest to melt down towards the earth. Take one more deep full breath here. As we inhale, look forward and very gently walk the hands over to the right, getting that side bend along the left side of the body. Again, releasing the forehead down, feeling the expansion along the left shoulder. As we continue to draw the shoulder blade down the back, try to avoid hunching around the ears, expanding through the left side ribs. Feeling that stretch as we continue to breathe into the left side of the body. Pressing that left hip down towards the left heel. Feeling the stretch in the inner thighs as well. As we inhale, we walk the hands back through center. And as we exhale, we release them over towards the left. Release the forehead down. Again, continuing to draw that right shoulder blade down, so avoid rounding through the upper back. Feeling the stretch along the right side of the body. Those intercostal muscles that separate the ribs, stretching deeper. Maybe feeling a stretch along the outer edge of your right shoulder, stretching the deltoids. As we inhale, bring the hands back to center. Exhale, press back into a child's pose, and then we're going to come into a thread the needle variation. So looking forward, bring your left arm to start with underneath the right shoulder. Release the left ear down towards the earth. So the palm can face up or down, depending on what feels more comfortable in your shoulder. Pressing into the palm of the right hand, press the hips back towards the heels. Make sure we're staying nice and grounded through our foundations. Try to keep the hips nice and level. Allow the twist to come from the rib cage and the upper back. Inhale, we come through center, press forward. Exhale, release into child's pose. Inhale, coming forward. And exhale, we come into it on the other side. So right arm comes underneath the left shoulder as we look out towards the left side. Right shoulder, right ear comes to rest down to the mat as we stretch through the outer edge of the right arm. Twisting through the rib cage. Rounding down through the sit bones. Inhale, come forward to child's pose, and exhale for the last time, press back. As we inhale, we come up into a tabletop position. So just coming onto our hands on knees, wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips, feet flat out behind you, checking that the fingers are spread nice and wide. As we inhale, we come into cow pose, so the crown of the head lifts, the chest comes forward, belly drops towards the earth, and the tailbone reaches up. And then as we exhale, we start the movement of the tailbones, we round the spine, lift and separate those shoulder blades as the crown of the head releases towards the earth. Taking 2 more of each at your own pace, following your own breath rhythms, tune into how you're feeling in each vertebrae. Maybe bring some lateral movement into it if it feels good as well, by bringing the hips side to side. Just experiment here with what feels nice in the body. Taking any last movements that your body needs. And then come back into a neutral position on your inhale. We're going to come into a downward facing dog. So bringing the palms of the hands forward just a little bit, checking in that the wrist creases are in line with the short edges of the mat. Tucking the toes under, lift those sit bones up and back behind you. So keeping the knees bent to start with, pressing through the index finger and the thumb, pressing through those finger pads and the knuckles. Internally rotating the lower arm and externally rotating the upper arm. So the elbow creases are facing up towards the ceiling.
Continue to draw those shoulder blades down the back and towards the front of the rib cage as best you can. We're looking for that sensation where you feel nice and open in the chest, nice and open through the collarbone, and you're not collapsing forwards. Keeping that low belly drawn in to avoid overarching in the lower back. And keeping to continue to draw those sit bones up towards the ceiling. And then you can begin to pedal or press the heels down towards the earth, either one at a time. Just opening up through the hamstrings, or begin to press them both down. Looking towards toes, knees, or your belly button, depending on where feels most comfortable in the neck. If at any point this feels too much, you can always drop to the shins, come into a child's pose or a tabletop instead. As we inhale, look forward in as many steps as you need, keeping the knees bent. Walk forward to ragdoll, so feet hips distance apart or even wider. Knees bend, take opposite hand to opposite elbow. Begin to bring some soft movements in through the body as we just shake side to side softly. Tuning into any places where you feel tension or strain, and taking a note of these areas so that when we come into some slightly deeper postures, you're aware of these sensations, you know not to push. You don't want to be feeling any pain. Hopefully just feeling like a nice deep stretch. And then when you're ready, release a hold of the elbows, staying rooted through the feet, bent through the knees. Begin to roll up the spine. Sacking very, very gently, one vertebrae at a time over your hips. Your chin comes parallel with the floor, Samastitihi. Big toes touching, a little bit of spinny heels, quadriceps engaged, tailbone draws down, shoulders up and away from the ears, palms forward, chin parallel. Okay, very active, keeping that low belly drawn in, bringing the awareness to the pelvis, our center of gravity. We're going to take 3 rounds of Surya Namaskara A to make sure we've warmed up before we take any deeper postures. So coming to the front of the mat, as we inhale, first round's modified, bring the arms up overhead, palms face each other, shoulders draw down as we look forward. As we exhale, soft bend in the knees as we hinge forward from the hips, hands to thighs, shins, or towards the earth. As we inhale, begin to draw the palms up the legs, lengthen the spine, look forward, keep those shoulders away, hips over the heels. As we exhale, bend the knees as much as you need to, plant the hands, step back to plank with either the knees lifted or lowered. And then as we exhale, we lower all the way down onto our bellies. As we inhale, baby cobra, keep the elbows drawn into the ribs, lift the chest, look forward, release the glutes. As we exhale, release down, pressing up through the arms, we're coming back into a downward facing dog, just holding for a breath or two, trying as best we can to get the inhales to match the exhales, pressing down through the index finger and the thumb. As we inhale, look to the space between the hands in as many steps as you need. Come forward to that halfway lift, bringing the palms up the legs and looking forward. As we exhale, soft bend in the knees as the crown of the head releases towards the earth. As we inhale, try to come up with a straight spine, the knees can be bent as we come all the way up, keeping the low belly in. Tailbone draws down as we look forward. And exhale, release. Back to Samastitihi, second round, some different options this time. Inhale, bring the arms up, maybe palms together, look to thumbs, keep the shoulders away from the ears. As we exhale, hinge forward from the hips, try to keep the hips stacked over the heels if we bring the palms down towards the earth. As we inhale, we lengthen the spine, this time maybe just coming up onto the fingertips as we look forward. As we exhale, we can step, or if it's in our practice, jump back through Chaturanga this time. So hips nice and high, land with bent elbows. Inhale, pressing through to upward facing dog, arms towards straight, quads active, knees lifted. Remember, neck is the extension of the spine, so looking up slightly. And as we exhale, we either flip over the feet, or roll over the toes, downward facing dog, steady the breath. Keeping the low belly drawn in, breathe deep into the rib cage. And as we inhale, look forward to the space between the hands, step, or if it's in your practice, hop or float forward to the halfway lift. Hips nice and high. Exhale as we release the crown of the head towards the earth. Inhale, straight spine, come all the way up, keeping the tailbone drawing down, shoulders away. And exhale, release, Samastitihi, last round. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Steady your breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale, release back to Samastitihi. Okay, coming into Uttanasana, we're going into a forward fold and a twist here. So this is going to be really beneficial for our detoxing section. So we're going to bring the feet to hips distance apart if they're not already, toes in slightly, bring the hands to the waist. As we inhale, we lengthen the spine, lift the chest. And as we exhale, we hinge forward from the hips. Okay, so you can stay here if this feels like enough for you, or if you have a block, you can bring a block down. We're going to bring the right hand towards the earth or the block. And as we inhale, we lift our left hand so it can come towards parallel with the floor, or maybe begin to bring it up towards more like the ceiling as we move into a twist. So keeping the low belly drawn in, try to keep the hips level here as you look up towards that hand. Try to make sure that the twist is coming from the rib cage. So low belly draws in. Allow the shoulders to open nice and long through the collarbone. As we exhale, we release the left hand down. As we inhale, we bring the right arm up. Okay, so maybe just towards parallel with the floor. That feels like enough of a stretch. Working with that. Otherwise, beginning to bring it up towards the ceiling, trying to stay nice and open through the chest, as if you were drawing the shoulder blades together behind you. Try to establish your foundations here, grounding down through the toes, the heels and the balls of the foot, as we lift the inner arches of the foot. As we exhale, release the hand down. Inhale, look forward, head up. Exhale fully. Inhale, bring the hands to the waist, come all the way back up, just standing, and exhale to release back to our Samastitihi, mountain pose. Moving into Uttanasana, extended triangle, bring the feet out wide, so you can step the right foot back, about 3 feet wide, arms out to shoulder height. Inhale here fully, and then as we exhale, the right toes face the short edge of the mat. We hinge forward from the hips, so this is a side bend, not a forward bend, and release the right hand to the thigh, the shin, the floor, or a block. Or if it's in your practice, you can hook the peace fingers around the big toes. Drawing that left hip back in line with the right, maybe looking up towards the left thumb, but only if it's comfortable on the neck. If it's not, then you can instead look down. Soft activation of the right quadricep to help release the back of the leg, pressing down through the outer edge of the left foot. As we inhale, look down towards the right big toe, soft bend in the knee to press all the way back up. Bring the right toes in, exhale fully. Inhale to expand, lift through the chest. And as we exhale, we do the same over to the left side. So remember, you may feel different. You can modify as needed. So thigh, shin, floor or block, or only if it's comfortable, hook the peace fingers around the big toe. That's an Ashtanga style of triangle pose, but it's not a common one, so don't force it. Pressing that right hip back in line with the left as best you can, hopefully feeling a nice stretch along the right side body, but trying as best you can to lengthen through the left side of the body as well. There's a tendency to kind of collapse over the left side, so try to lengthen the left shoulder away from the left hip, drawing the crown of the head away from the tailbone. As we inhale, look down, soft bend in the knee to press up, bring the left toes in, and exhale fully. Release the arms for just a second. Okay, sorry, jump cut. Just had to reset the camera there. So bringing the feet to the wide distance, we're going to move into Trikonasana now, Revolved Triangle. So arms out to shoulder height.
You can have the right toes facing out, just like we did for Trikonasana, but we're going to be squaring our hips off to the short edge of the mat. So if you find that as you do this, there's pain in the back knee, I recommend that you just bring the left foot a little bit wider so we can take a little bit of the stretch out of the hips instead. So there's no pain in the knee. Otherwise, we're working with heel to heel alignment. Arms out to the side, and then what we're going to do is we're going to square the hips off, bring the right hand to the right waist, inhale to extend up through the left fingertips, and as we exhale we press down, hinge forward from the hips, so bring the left hand either towards the thigh, shin, a block, or the inside of the foot. If you wanted to take it a little bit deeper into the twist, then you can bring your left hand to the outside of the hip, press your right hip back in line with the left, and then you can take your right hand up towards the ceiling, only if it's comfortable in the neck. Continuing to square the hips off to the short edge of the mat, keep the low belly drawn in as we bring the twist into the rib cage as best as possible. As we inhale, look down towards the right big toe, soft bend in the knee as we press up. Bring the right toes in slightly. Exhale fully. Inhale, we prepare on the other side, so left toes face out. Remember to bring that right foot wider if you need to. Left hand to the waist, right arm up over the head. As we exhale, we hinge forward from the hips. Thigh shin block, inside of the foot or outside of the foot. Okay, left hand can stay on the waist, or you can continue to let it travel up towards the ceiling. Continuing to draw that left hip back in line with the right, twisting from the rib cage, drawing those shoulder blades together behind you to lengthen through the collarbone, grounding down through the outer edge of the right foot. As we inhale, look down to the left big toe, soft bend in the knee as we press all the way back up to standing. And as we exhale, we release back to the front of the mat. So we're going to come into a twist variation of Andrasana, crescent moon pose, the high lunge position. So what we're going to do is we're going to step out wide again, bring the hands to the waist this time. So you may need to modify on how wide the feet is depending on how well the knee tracks over the ankle. So we'll start on the right side again. So what we're going to do is spin the feet round, so the right toes face the short edge of the mat, the left heel lifts. You can have them about hips distance apart, the feet about hips distance apart. Hands to the waist as we begin to sink lower into the hips. So as I said, you may need to bring the feet a little bit wider. You're aiming to draw the tailbone down towards the earth, so avoid overarching in the lower back as best you can. Instead, try to stay with a neutral pelvis. Keep the hands to the waist and the shoulders away from the ears as we lengthen the spine, lift the chest. Now you're more than welcome to stay here if you're working with this posture. Otherwise, moving into a twist, bring the palms together at the heart center as we inhale. And then as we exhale, we track so the left elbow comes to the outer edge of the right thigh. Okay, continuing to press, charge through that back heel, sinking low into the hips. Maybe you're feeling a stretch along the outer edge of the right thigh, checking in that the right knee is still stacking over the right ankle as we look towards the right. Thumb towards sternum, sternum towards thumbs as we lengthen through the chest. As we inhale, we come through center, pressing through that right heel to straighten the leg, release the arms, come back to center. Hands to the waist is fine. Exhale fully. And then as we inhale, we come onto the other side. So left toes face the short edge of the mat, drop the knee down so the knee stacks over the ankle. Right heel charges back behind you, keeping the hands to the waist, lengthening the spine. Focus on drawing the tailbone down towards the earth and stabilizing the pelvis. Both hip bones should be facing the short edge of the mat as best you can. If you wanted to take the twist, inhale, bring the palms together at the heart center, thumbs to sternum. And as we exhale, we twist, beginning to bring the outer edge of the right elbow towards the outer edge of the right thigh. Again, maybe feeling that stretch, charging through the right heel. As we inhale, we come back to center, pressing through the heel to come up. Exhale, release back to center and release back to Samastitihi together at the front of the mat. And then we're going to move to our seated sequence. So we're going to take a little vinyasa. So as we inhale, bring the arms up overhead.
As we exhale, we hinge forward from the hips, bring the hands down towards the earth. Inhale to head up, lengthen the spine, lift the chest. Exhale through Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. And as we exhale, comes through to downward facing. Coming through to seated, you can either drop to the shins and press back to the heels, or if you're working towards jumping through, look towards the hands, bend the knees, hips nice and high, and then we can press or jump through to seated. Okay, so as this is a detox class, Equinox detox class, we're going to just check in here that we are, sorry, my microphone's been playing up, so just checking it was working. We're going to take a forward fold. So toes flex back towards you, hands to the outside of the hips. Now, you want to keep the low belly drawn in, and you want to stay nice and tall through the spine here. So really working with that digestion. You can begin to press into the fingertips and then begin to hinge forward if you find that this is a more productive stretch. Or you can take the peace fingers around the big toes or take hold of the thighs or the shins. Lengthen the spine on the inhale, and as we exhale, we hinge forward from the hips. Try to think belly to thighs and chin to shin. Keeping the low belly drawn in and the hips nice and level. Feel yourself rolling over those sit bones. Continuing to draw those shoulder blades down the back and towards the front of the rib cage, creating plenty of space around the neck, the collarbone. And you're looking towards your big toes. As we inhale, we lengthen the spine, lift the chest, look up. Exhale fully. Inhale, we come all the way back through seated. So we're going to take Adamazi Andrasana, half Lord of the Fishes pose. So we're going to draw our right knee in towards our chest, and then we're going to bring the foot to the outside of the knee. Bringing that knee more towards the midline may feel like a stretch in the outer edge of the right thigh. Bring the right hand to the outside of the right hip, left hand towards the right knee. You can stay here, beginning to twist, looking out over the right shoulder, or you can bring the outer edge of the elbow towards the outer edge of the knee. Palm faces out as we look out. Try to keep the left leg nice and flexed, toes flexed. Steady your breathing. Again, keeping the low belly drawn in and the pelvis level. If you feel like one of your sit bone is beginning to lift up, try to make sure the pelvis is nice and neutral. Try to make sure the low back is nice and neutral, and instead bringing the twist from the rib cage as we breathe deep, and feel it as you're breathing deeper. Feel that stretch in the rib cage. Nice deep inhales and exhales. Inhale, we look to center. Exhale fully. Inhale, bring the knee into the center line, and exhale to release. Inhale, left knee in. And as we exhale, bring the foot to the outside of the knee. Left hand to the outside of the left hip, right hand towards the left knee, looking out over the left shoulder. Or maybe bring the outer edge of the right elbow towards the outer edge of the knee, beginning to peek out over the left shoulder. Right leg stays nice and engaged. Bringing that knee more towards the midline as we stretch the outer edge of the left thigh. Pelvis nice and neutral. Shoulder blades begin to draw towards each other behind your back as we open up through the front side of the body. Feel it, feel the opening through the collarbone and the throat as it encourages you to go deeper into the twist. Inhale, look to center. Exhale to unwind, release, bring the knee to center. And shake out the legs. Okay, fantastic. So we're going to take another forward bend. We're going to take Subtabaticanasana now, bound angle pose. So bring both knees in towards the chest, bring the soles of the feet together. Interlace the fingers, place them over the tops of the feet. Okay, so this is the first option, to stay nice and extended, lifting through the chest. If this feels uncomfortable or you still find you're rounding through the back, bring the hands to the outside of the hips instead and lengthen the spine this way. Otherwise, interlace the fingers around the feet. You can stay here, or as we exhale, begin to hinge forward
from the hips. So we want to stay nice and tall through the spine. I find, for me, the most beneficial way of staying tall through the spine is to draw the elbows in towards the hip creases, as opposed to drawing the elbows out towards the knees. Because what I find happens here is, as I draw the elbows out towards the knees, what happens is a very slight internal rotation of the shoulder joint, and it kind of collapses forward a little bit. So maybe that's not the same for you. You can work with whichever variation feels most beneficial to you. But you want to be feeling a stretch in those inner thighs, the hips, as we fold forward. Continuing to draw the low belly in. One more deep breath. And then as we inhale, we come all the way back through center, bring the knees to the center line. And as we exhale, we release back into our Dandasana staff pose. Okay, coming down to lay on our backs now, we're going to come into a reclined pigeon posture, opening up through the hips, and then we're going to come into a twist from there. So coming to lay down on our backs. To start with, draw the left knee, well, draw both knees in towards you, the heels flat on the floor, just in front of the sit bones. And then you're going to bring your right ankle over the top of the left thigh. Okay, there should be no pain in the knee here. Instead, you should be feeling a stretch in the kind of in the glute area, maybe on the inner thigh as well. Okay, this may feel like enough of a stretch for you. If you wanted to take it deeper, if you're not feeling any sensation, you can begin to draw the left knee in, either taking a hold of the back of the thigh or interlace the fingers around the shins. You want to make sure that the entire length of the spine is grounded into the mat, flexing both toes back towards the knees to help protect the knees. Try to slow your rhythms of breath down again. Maybe set your mind's eye back to your intention. Whatever it may be that you would like to take with you into this new season of change. As the world around us begins to cool down, we move into the season of comfort and preparation. Rest. Take one more deep breath in. As we exhale, we release the left foot down towards the floor. We're moving into a twist, so you can bring the arms out into a goalpost position or a capital T with your palms face up. And then as we exhale, we stamp the right foot over towards the left. Okay, you can look towards the right if it feels comfortable on the neck. But just checking in that you're feeling okay. There should be no pain in the knee. If you're feeling any sensation in the knee, you can instead just come into another twist that feels more comfortable to you by stacking the knees on top of each other. Or just windshield wipering the legs, instead. Maybe if you feel stable and balanced here, it's a good opportunity to begin to close the eyes. As we open up through the chest, the heart, opening up through the shoulders, those pectoral muscles where maybe you're feeling the stretch in the front of the chest. Take one more deep breath on this side, in. Exhale fully. As we inhale, bring the knees back to center, bring the left knee in, and then draw the right knee in towards the chest, and then exhale to step the right foot next to the left. Inhale, other side, so draw the left knee in, press the left ankle over the right thigh. This may feel like enough of a stretch, or you can begin to draw the right thigh or shin in towards the chest, trying to keep the length in the spine. Trying to keep the shoulders drawing down, so instead of them lifting up and away from the mat, instead try to keep the shoulder blades nice and grounded. slowing your breathing. Even as the sensation builds in that left hip, try to breathe deep. Allow the mind to quiet, or bring your mind's eye back to your intention. Both toes flex towards the knees. One more breath. As we exhale, release the right foot down towards the earth, and then bring the arms out to a capital T or goalpost. Gently step the left foot over towards the right, allowing the hips to follow, keeping the low belly facing the same direction as the hips as best you can. Again, bringing the twist from the middle and the upper back. Maybe looking out towards the left hand, only if it feels good on the neck. Continuing to feel that stretch in that left hip. Or maybe just stacking the knees on top of each other. One more full breath. Inhale, bring the right knee in towards center, and then draw the left knee in towards the chest. Exhale to release it down. And we're just going to come into a Subtabaticanasana just to release the lower back. Bring the soles of the feet together. Allow the knees to draw open to the side. Press your left hand into your heart and your right hand into your belly. If this feels too much in the inner thighs, just draw the knees together and bring the feet to mat distance apart. Feeling your breath travel, lifting your left hand in your rib cage, your heart as you inhale. And as we're here now, this is a good opportunity to release the low belly. Now feeling the breath as it changes, now beginning to breathe deep into the rib cage, feel it lifting and expanding into the belly with your right hand as well. Feel that beautiful, deep, expansive breath into that area where we've basically been wringing out for this whole practice. We've had it very tight, we've had twists, we've had forward folds to aid us with our digestion, kick-starting our metabolism. And now as we breathe deep, feel the energy travel to that area, filling it with the fresh, new autumn energy. And if you feel comfortable here, you're more than welcome to stay here for a little bit longer. If you wanted to release into Shavasana, you can use your hands to help bring your knees to center. Extend your legs long, bringing your feet out to the front corners of the mat. Release your arms alongside the body with the palms facing up. Allow your body to rest heavy. Feel grounded, feel supported. As we move into the season of grounding, away from the season of fire, I encourage you to allow these elements to truly absorb into your practice. Feel heavy, feel rooted, feel supported and still. Try to visualize your body becoming the element of earth as you rest. Allow yourself to sink a little bit deeper. Allow yourself to calm any places where you feel tension. Allow your soft, natural, slow breaths to return. And then allow your mind to quiet. Bringing your mind's eye to one point of focus that serves you today. That can be your phrase or mantra. You can draw the awareness to the mind's eye or the breath. Allow your focus to steady and remain fixed on your one focal point for the rest of your Shavasana. And then I encourage you to stay here for as long as you have the time for, at least another 3 minutes. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. As you go forward, I wish you peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, peace in your heart. Namaste.